Good afternoon. Welcome to Chasing the Neon Rainbow. Friends, Steve Yulberg here for Jam Play, and we're going to look at our fourth lesson. We have spent some time talking about the importance of finding what our vocal range is. We're going to draw on that today. We've also spent good time talking about breathing and posture and all the things that need to go in to producing enough air and energy so that you can get the sound you want to come out of your body and have enough breath support so that you can hold the tone steady while you're playing. We talked about the importance of when you're playing your guitar, you can feel the vibrations through your body, which help you center and getting things in tune. We've also talked about the vowel sounds and how to shape your tone by where it is and your chest voice and your head voice, and we're going to do a lot more of that stuff in the coming weeks. Today, what we want to talk about is finding ways to make sure you're singing the song you want to sing in your vocal range in a comfortable place that achieves what you want to achieve. So, I'm going to ask if we can... Oops, that's the wrong thing. If we can have, I'm trying to get my handout up here and it's not, so I'll use my paper one. I thought I had my other one up here. So let's put up our first handout for today. And what we have here is all the things we want to do with finding our right voice. So this is where we go back and we find our vocal range, which we charted in the first week. And I keep referring to this because I don't want you to, let's see, that would be the second one. Let's put up the other one. Whoops, sorry. Yep, sorry, I bumped that. Bumped the wrong thing. Is that better? Okay. Sorry I bumped that. I was the handout we want up is the one that says Neon Rainbow Singing with Guitar Play Jam Live Class Finding the Right Voice for Your Song. That's the one we want first. And I'm just going to call attention to our vocal warm-up comparison that you have tailored to fit your voice, because that's what we're going to use as a comparison to know where we are. So, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. It doesn't have any tabs. Sorry, I was referring to that one. Jason, it's the one that just has typing on it. Just as typing like that. We're professionals, friends. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. So this old spiritual I'm doing in the key of E right now because I like how it feels in my hands, but it's really, really low. It's really, really low. So I could think about transposing this. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Now, I started in E, I moved to G, which meant I had to think about some different key or chords to use for the key that I was in. And sometimes that can be a big challenge for us, but I think you'll agree that there's a whole different quality of my voice. Swing low, sweet chariot. And it has to do also not just with the key I've chosen, but the way the song works. It goes from 3-1, 3-1-1, 6-5. It goes down to the 5 below do. So that's why we're in E, but I have to be able to sing a B low. That's way below my range. When I did my vocal range thing, low, swing low, sweet chariot. It's out of my range. I really can't count on singing those pitches. So I'm going to have to change the key, or I'm going to make use of my capo. This happens to be a Kaiser capo. Some people like to call this thing a cheater. Some people call it a tool. I'm of the latter variety. I call it a tool. I'm using this, the Italian word for the pronunciation of the word is capo, which means head. What I'm doing is I'm shortening, instead of the nut being where the nut is, I'm shortening the length of the strings, and every time I put it down, it makes all my strings shorter, and it means that everything I used to do down there in E, I can do here. Ah, my goodness, I'm capoed at the 5, 7, 8th fret. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Now that felt a lot more comfortable in my voice. Would you say it was? I knew the other thing, not only that I felt comfort in there, I had dynamic range. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. So I was in the place of my range, my vocal range, where I had some dynamic possibilities. When I was singing it down here in the open place, same chord shapes but in E. Swing, swing low. The volume just disappeared because I had to open my mouth so much. I couldn't make the air move fast because then my pitch would go up. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Now that's a place where I could finally get some home. That's the B an octave higher. That one feels pretty comfortable. I actually have some dynamic range in that place. So swing low. So simply doing it here wasn't giving me enough options. Gravity wins. So then I changed keys before, but now I'm going to change keys by using my capo. Put my capo at the 3rd fret. I'm using the E shape still. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. So I'm using this 3-chord song. I changed where the capo was, which made my same chord shapes sound different. They sounded in the key of G, and we're going to talk about how I figured that out in a minute. But right now, what it did was move everything way up in my voice, didn't it? Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Put it right in my break, though. It made it kind of a challenging place, perhaps. So if I go up, let's say I'm going to go up to the 6th fret. I'm playing in B flat. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, getting better, but my low note, chariot, that puts me down below. Puts me at an F. If I go up to B, swing low, sweet chariot, come for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. That one's starting to feel a lot better. The last time I did it, I was in C, swing low. That sounds like a good place to do it. It gives me enough strength on the bottom end and the top end without it going outside of my range. So what I'm doing is showing you how I do what's called voicing a song. It's not the voicing of the chords I'm going to use. It's making sure that the song itself fits in the voice that I have, so the song can be presented in its best possible light. And I'm using one, I'm sure you have a song that's outside of your range one way or the other. You listen to it on the radio and you try to sing it. Here I am being old school on the radio. You listen to it on Spotify or Pandora or your MP3 player or wherever you listen to your music, and it's not in your range. And so that's what we're addressing today. What is my tool? How do I use it? And how do I make sense of it so that the song can be in its best place? So I'm using the tool of a capo, and I want to do a little review about what the capo does. I told you it makes the head and makes everything shorter. I found a place to use it, but let's do a little systematic kind of thing. You've heard of the caged system. If you play guitar for any length of time and here on Jam Play, the caged system is looking at all the open chords that we use, the C, the A, the G, the E, and the D shapes, and realizing that if they move up the fretboard, the patterns stay the same, the voicings of the chords stay the same, the notes you're going to hear in the order you're going to hear them, but you do have to create a bar somewhere. So if I'm going to play the C chord and move it up the neck, I've got to change my fingerings so that I can... So now my first finger becomes a bar, and I have the C shape on my other fingers. The first finger stays as a bar. There's the D shape, there's the G shape, there's the E shape, and there's the A shape. So the capo is doing what the bar chord would do. When I move up to the 3rd fret, and I keep the bar here, I can just play the E shape that I'm used to, E, A, B7, which are the chords I was using for the song, and I've changed the key of the song in a predictable way for what the guitar is going to do. Now, how do I know which one I did? I moved it. I was in E because E was open. I'm going to name that by whatever, when I'm in standard tuning, whatever's on the outside strings has got the same name. E, A, D, G, B, E. So now I've walked up 3 half steps. E is my starting place. F, F sharp, G. So at the 3rd fret, I'm playing the same shapes. The place I am right here is called G. So the chord I'm going to play is called G. So I've just changed the key from E to G. That's how I knew what I did when I went up further. Now, my guitar, your guitar may differ, but mine has some dots on the side and some dots on the fretboard that I can use as reference points. It has nothing at the 3rd fret. It does at the 5th fret. So if I know that I'm going to the 5th fret and I play, I've got A. When I go to the next dot, I've got B. If I go just a half step away from the B, I've got C. And that's what I did for our song before, so I could get into the key of C. Now, when I'm up here, I may say, you know, that doesn't leave me much room in my guitar. I don't have a cutaway. My hand is bumping up against the body of the guitar. This may not be the key I want to play the chords out of, but I've now figured out that this song, which was too low in E, and too high in G. When I moved the capo up further, I found out C. It's a good chord for me. I might decide now, because I know that C, F, and G go together, that I play the song in C in the open position. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. So I was using this as my transition tool, and then I could change the key and do the chords differently, or I can use this as my transition tool and just use the same shapes. So let me pause and see if there's any questions that have come up just from that review of the capo and the cage system and how the capo and the cage system work together. Okay, the first question is, does a capo work with alternate tunings? Yes, that's the easy answer. If I play drop D, because I like how that sounds, but I don't sing well in the key of D. Perhaps I sing better in F. If I put the capo on, it shortens everything by the same amount. And so what I did was count up and say, I was at D, D sharp, E, F. I want to see what happens. And I play the same shapes away from the capo that I would before. Now, because I'm in drop D, I know I have to use these different chord shapes. I'm not going to use my standard chord shapes because the low note has changed. So that's the one thing that can happen with your head when you're in a, and this has happened to me many, many times on a gig. I'll have retuned for a song. I know I got to put the capo on for the next one, forgot to retune, and then something ain't right. All right, now another capo question that often arises, and I see someone's asked it here. I get a lot of buzz when I put my capo on. Is there any way to get clearer notes? Capos are made in different kinds of ways. This one is a spring, it's a Kaiser capo, it's a spring-loaded one. And so one of the things that happens when you put your spring-loaded one on there is it squeezes the strings. And sometimes it doesn't squeeze all of the strings the same way. And I've noticed that particularly with this one, it's getting a little tired. I've had it for a long time. Wow. Lots of years. That I will sometimes get a buzz. And this is where it has, there's several components to look at if you're getting a capo buzz. But one is to just try resetting your capo one way or the other, sliding this way. Try getting close and further behind your fret to see if that makes a difference. The other thing that happens when I put the capo on is sometimes the capo is so strong it's squeezing some strings and it's moving things out of tune. So if you've ever been to a performance where someone's playing and they stop and they spend a lot of time retuning, that's what's going on. They're retuning because the capo was causing some unauthorized changes. There are other capos that clip on and you tighten them with the screw behind, so you can adjust the tension. And if you are using one of those capos and you have a buzz, I would try tightening it up a little more so that you have the possibility of adjusting the tension on the string. You don't want it so strong that it squeezes all the strings so tight that they stretch and they're everything out of tune. You also don't want it to be loose enough that you're getting a fret buzz. If it is also possible, and this is more of a structural problem thing with the guitar, that you actually do have a little bit of a high fret that you don't ever hear because you're not playing that very often. And so it might be, if it's consistently in the same location, you might sight down your fretboard and see if you have a high fret there, or take it to your guitar tech and see if they can help you with that. First thing I'd do is reseat the capo and then see what happens after that. And of course, a capo like this, which has an open end, can be used on just some of the strings. Now, whether or not the design of the capo lets it work as good, when I'm covering just four of the strings right now, what's happening is that because this has not got enough grip, it's pulling the capo off the strings all the time. So it is possible to use a capo that just covers two strings. More likely, if you want to do that, you want to use a shortcut capo. This is an example of that. Kaiser uses a shortcut capo. So I'd say I want to cover the bottom two strings. Now let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to cover. This is a three. That's not going to let me cover my lowest ones. So let me show you why this is happening the way it is. It's a very short capo, but you can see where my other capo has got a pad in the hole that fills this in. This one is designed so that the lowest string or whatever's in that hole can still ring while the other ones next to it are being covered. And this is not exactly what we're covering in the class, but if you ever see people with more than one capo, sometimes what they're doing is this. They're capoing to get their lowest strings to be in a particular key. And now this particular capo in this way is imitating a dadgad style tuning and lets you sing in the key you want to and have all the cool sounds you want. So, oops, I moved my webcam. Sorry about that. I got to do an adjustment here because it's touching the computer, and that's why there's a problem. All right. Like I said, we're professionals here. So that answers those kind of overarching capo questions. Randall Williams has a class here on using the shortcut capo and the little magic things that can happen with that. So if you want to get in deeper, let him guide you in that on Jam Play. Now, what are there any questions that you have about your voice and the capo and figuring out was that clear? I'm looking for, when I'm trying to understand a new concept, can I comprehend what's going on? Can I do what's going on? Can I tell somebody else about it? Or my 3 steps? Okay, here's a good question. If you're a beginner, which means you're new to the guitar or new to singing or both, and you are not quite certain about where your vocal range is, or you can't quite tell if this really fits you or not, do I rely on others to tell me that I'm off or that a different key is better for them? I would ask for their help. Some people are good at giving you unsolicited help. But I have worked with students. Here's the thing I know. Here, let me step back for a minute. I do a lot of work with preschool music and with children who are just developing their singing voices and trying things out. Here's something to trust. Very, very few of us are unable to match a pitch. The vast majority of us are able to do that. When a pitch sounds, we can intone that pitch. We can match it. Some of us, when we try to get to it, we get off, and then we get anxious, and then we wobble all over the place. One of the things you can do is I can use my tuner on my phone, and I can say la. This is a strobe tuner when all the blue, this is taken from wheels. It doesn't look like a wheel, does it? But that's the idea. La. I'm trying to get those to be as steady as possible, which means I have to have that breath we talked about, the engine. But I'm okay. That was a C. Okay, so I can sing a C, and can I hold that pitch in one place for a while, or does it move? So I'm giving myself a visual corrector. I'm letting myself see, does this work? And it doesn't matter which vowel sound you use. The whole point is you keep a clear tone while you do it. That is one way for you to find out, okay, this is what's happening. Next to in this tuner, next to the letter name, there's a number which tells you which octave it's in case you have a little confusion about that. C4 is middle C. So let me do that one again just to show that. La, 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 la. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Middle C is C4. La. It's high in my voice because I'm a male and have a lower voice. If you're a female, you might have, that might be higher in your, or lower in your voice. That exact same pitch. That's the middle C on the staff. So you can orient yourself with the page that came from week 1. And if you don't have that, go back and take a look at week 1 and supplemental materials, the vocal warm-up comparison. You can use this tool to figure out where your voice is. But what I notice with preschool kids is I'm singing a song, we stop the song, and when they're really little, they'll sing. I've had them at 6 weeks. 6 weeks old, echo the resting tone of whatever we just did. And the reality is we have that built into us. So one way to test yourself is when a song's over, turn off the sound and then sing whatever pitch it was that they finished on. Do that a few times and see if you tend to sing along with the ones that are in a certain place. Was it high? Was it too high for you? Was it too low? Was it comfortable? Was it reachable but uncomfortable? I mean, all the little things you can do in part of your daily life without a guitar, without an instrument. Then using the vocal warm-up comparison to go along with your voice and get a sense of what you have available to you. Then as you're singing the songs, sometimes I can reach these notes, but I can't reach the high ones, so I bounce down below. And that's what I'll watch children do in my classes too. They can often hit the tonic or the root of the chord. They can often hit the 5, the twinkle, 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 little star. It's called a perfect fifth interval. They can often do that. We often can do that too. And that, if they can't quite hit the 1, they'll hit the 5. And then sometimes they'll follow the contour of the song and match, and sometimes they'll bump it down into their octave. And if you find yourself singing along and feeling mostly good except for one part of the song and you have to bump it down in the lower octave, that's a sign that the song is pitched a little too high for you, that your comfortability with the song and your voices, you need to try to figure out a way to come down. Now we're going to do that in a minute. Right now we're going to talk about moving the song up, which is where we started. So, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. In that part of my range, I can sing it, right? Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. But I really want it in those low octaves. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Now, when I put my capo on and played that all in G, swing low, I went to the high octave, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, which went to the higher part of my range, but I could also try it in the lower part of my range. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot. Still a little bit low for me, at least in this part of the day. So that's why I kept moving it up. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Just a side note, the chariot, is one of those awkward syllables to hold a pitch on. We talked about those vowel sounds last week, so if you want to review those in week 3, we talked about that, and that's one of those hard ones. So if you're having a little trouble with that, that can be why. So on the handout that I gave you, I'm trying to voice my song, and I'm thinking about, can I sing all the notes that are in the song? Can I reach them? Can I sing them with the appropriate volume that I want? And then can I sing them with a tone I desire? So when I sang Swing Low in G, or let's do it in A because it's going to be even higher. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Now I'm singing way up in the higher part of my register. It carries. And it could be that I'm in a band situation where I want my voice to carry over everything else that's happening. I might pick a higher pitch for the song, even though if I play it as a solo, I might sing it in lower octave. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. So one of the things I'm doing by experimenting with where the capo goes and trying to figure out what key I'm in is, when I pick the key I want to sing the song in, do I give myself someplace to go? Can I sing it at the lower part of my range and the higher part of my range so that when I introduce the song, it's in that, breathless, low, kind of relaxed place? Wow, I am out of oxygen today. And you can see my posture was bad. I couldn't get enough oxygen. So there's a reminder for weeks 1 and 2 and a little bit of 3. So giving myself some room to go, room to grow with the song as we kick it up. Swing low. At the beginning, I introduce it this way, and then we got all the band in, everybody's singing, we're all with it. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. So by moving it to a place where it was in my voice in a way that I can do more with my voice, which means I can do more with the song, I would call that a properly voiced song. Now, you maybe aren't going to want to sing on the Idol, and what I did there, American Idol or The Voice, that's the kind of thing they're looking for. Can you start it low and intimate, and then can you get up to the belty thing? Can you use your high falsetto? And I know that high A is a note that I have when I need it. I can't sing there a lot, but I have it. And so I want to move it so that I can get in a place where I can use that note. And then as soon as I do it, that's when you're watching these shows. Everybody in the audience stands up and applauds. Yay! I don't know why. I just know they do. But when it is voiced properly, you give yourself all the possibilities of what you want to do. So, let me demonstrate something. I do this in my live Q&As, and I do this with my private students a lot. This is the example of the song. I was writing this song, singing it for 10 years. I had a coffee house gig every Wednesday at lunch. And this is way after lunch, but it is Wednesday. So, you and I agree we should live apart. The miles that lay between us now are tearing up my heart. So as I now I lay me down and pray your soul to keep. Don't think I can take the ache within, so I begin to weep. I feel sad, so sad to be here without you. I feel sad, so sad to see that I'm alone. Though I look at you and I'm glad that you like to live your living. So I'm going through the song at some depth because I want you to see I have some finger picking patterns in the right hand. I have some chord shapes finger picking in the left hand. I value these things, but the song is too high. It doesn't provide the kind of, it sounds more strident and it doesn't fit the mood of the song. So, and when I would play it in this coffee shop, when I was done, people would politely do the golf clap kind of thing when I was done. So I started experimenting. I would try several different keys. You and I agree. Way too high. You and I agree. Way too low. So I finally moved it all the way up until I was at capoed at the 7th fret. And what that meant is when I was capoing and playing the G shapes, I was sounding in D, E, F. So I was at E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, D, C sharp, and D. You and I agree we should live apart. And the miles that lay between us now are tearing up my heart. So now I have all the notes I need. I feel sad, so sad to be here without you. I feel sad, so sad to see that I'm alone. Though I look at you and I'm glad that you like to live your living. Still I feel so sad that I cannot come along. And so it got to be where it was much more comfortable and I could do the plaintive longing kind of tone that I wanted for the song. And it fit within my range. And as soon as I did that, and I sang it in the same coffee house where people would politely golf clap, they whipped their heads around and listened. And they'd nod and they'd start to connect with the song. So I had a good song in the wrong location that the people were accustomed to. When the music stops, you clap now. That's what they did. But when I put the song in the right place in my voice, and I used my tool of a capo to do it, it made it one of those songs that you pay attention to. And it became one that many people would comment on about afterwards. And so it ended up on A Piece of It All recording. Instead of just another song I wrote that, I sang, that became one that I wanted to make sure got dressed up and went out into the world in its best clothes. And some of that clothes was making sure that my voice was right with it. Now, it gets confusing trying to figure all this stuff out. So let's put up the second handout, Jason, the one that's got the guitar-friendly keys on it. Because trying to figure this out, going up is really pretty easy. You just walk up the scale. And because standard tuning, a guitar in standard tuning, here we go. all we do is say the name of whatever the outside notes are. We're going to get the name of whatever we're working on. What I did was create this chart for myself and for other people. So let me tell you what's in it. We're reading it. We're looking in columns that are going up and down. These are guitar friendly keys, I say, and I call them friendly keys because we're used to them. They have a lot of chords that we are not from the top to the bottom. They get a little more difficult or challenging as we move to the bottom. But just take a look in column 2. You'll see chords. You might see 1 or 2 out of there that you have never played before, or that you go, oh yes, that one. You kind of grimace. But for the most part, these are the ones that show up in a lot of guitar music. And as guitarists, we tend to gravitate to the songs that have the chords we can play. Now, if you look, that's the second column. That's the chords that are in this key. And you'll notice that some of them are major and some of them are minor. The little B tells you or the little M tells you the minor. These are in diatonic form, the way chords show up in any key. They end up in this order. And that's what the Roman numerals are in column 1. So in any key, the 1 chord is going to be a capital 1. The 2 chord will be a lowercase 2 because it's usually minor. Well, in that key, it's going to be minor. And the 3 chord is going to be minor. The 4 chord is going to be major. The 5 chord is going to be major. And the 6th chord is going to be minor, which is why I talk about the handy dandy chord finder this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, whatever's pointing out as a major chord, and then this one over here, these 2 and this one over here are minor chords. We can expect that to happen in any key. If you didn't know that, then this is your bonus thing right now. If you did know that, well, this is reinforcement of that. As we go down into the next group, that's for everything we're playing as if we're in the key of G. Go down to the next set, and you'll see now as if we're in the key of D. D is the 1 chord, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, and B minor. Those are the chords that get played a lot when we're in the key of D. But they're following the same pattern of the 1, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4, 5, 6 minor. Those Roman numerals are the same in each one of these. Go down to the next block. You have C. Again, we probably know a lot of these. We probably are bedeviled by the F because that F chord earns its name, right? And it challenges us, but that's where we're going to find that one. Let's go down one more box, A. These are the chords that end up in the key of A, B minor, C sharp, D, F sharp. And then one more box, E. Now, whether or not you know how to play each one of these, I'll bet you know how to play pretty comfortably in one of them. In the bluegrass world, which is where I spend a lot of my time, or in the old time world, a lot of songs are in the key of G. So that's where we're going to start. So I'm going to need a lot of G and C and D. I might have some other chords that go with it. Going up Crip Creek, going on a run, going up Crip Creek to have a lot of fun. Going up Crip Creek to see my girl, going up Crip Creek, give a little whirl. Going up Crip Creek, going on a run, going on a Crip Creek to have a little fun. You notice that's pretty low in my voice. So I'm going to do what I needed to do before. I'm going to start moving the capo up. And this is where the third column, capo at this fret, sounds like. So I'm using the G shapes. That's what's in column 2. And when the capo is at the first fret, my G sounds like a half step higher. It sounds like G sharp. The other name for that G sharp is A flat. So while you might have thought, I can't play an A flat chord on my guitar, with a capo, it's very easy to do. So you say, yeah, I'm really good at singing an A flat, but I can't play those chords. This is a way to do it. And because I put the capo down there, it stopped all the strings at the same location. So now my C shape is going to do what it's supposed to do in the family of G, but now it's going to sound like something different. It's going to sound like it's a half step higher. So it's going to sound like D flat or C sharp. And my D is going to sound like E flat or D sharp And there's my G sharp or my A flat. So in a bluegrass jam, guitarists will kind of pick this. Somebody say, we want to do this when I'm all la 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 la. My race is nearly won. They want to do that in A. All my trials now are past, my race is clearly won. Angel Band is often in the key of A. You'll see a lot of bluegrassers continue to play out of the key of G shapes, but they move up to the second fret, and that's where, as they're doing this, and that's not where the A is, it's not where the capo is, it's where the shape of the chord is. My thumb, or my second finger, is on the A, the E at the 5th fret, magic of the 5th fret. E is, when you play there, it's the same as the A string. And now everything I do is going to let me play the G shapes in the key of A. And now I can start to figure out, wait, does that work? Da 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 da. Oh, come, angel band, come and around me stand, bear me. So what I'm done is move it into my bluegrass, kind of my nasal side, and let me sing in that high place. And as I move all the way up, every half step is going to give me a brand new key that I can play the same shape of G in. Now, I didn't write every single step on this page because for me that's too much information and I can't process it. But I could keep track of where the dots are on my guitar. I have dots at 3, 5, 7. And so that's what I showed you. Now, most of us don't have a dot at 1, but I put it there because that's the one, that's just so we can see what's going on. The ones where there are no dots, it's just the regular name of the note. So capoing at 2 gives me an A. Capo at 3 means B flat. Capo at 4 means B. Capo at 5 means C. Capo at 6 means C sharp, D flat. Capo at 7 means D. And that's where I ended up when I was doing my song called Sad. You and I agree. Now let me pause and see if I have any questions about that. I don't have questions. Do you have questions about that? Okay, so there's got a couple coming. The tuner app I was using is called iStrobosoft. And let me see, it's a small I, Strobo, S-T-R-O-B-O-S-O-F-T, Strobosoft. And it might have been $9 or something like that. I got the ad removed one. Let me give this to you, Jason, so that you can... Because that's one of those hard things. It really helps if you can see it sometimes. So that is what happens when I need to move the song up to get my voice into the song because I know it needs to go up. What happens if I need the song to go down? That's the other side of using the capo, and that's where this paper is going to be more helpful. There is another question. I just want to address it quickly. We're going to talk about this kind of thing more. Let's see, which week are we going to do that on? That's actually next week. Simplifying an arrangement so that we can, the question that has been shared is, I have a hard time singing and playing with anything other than up and down strumming. How do you practice for alternating strumming patterns? And we're going to talk about this more in depth next week, but for the moment, what I would like to ask you to think about is, what can I do to simplify my singing at the time that I want to play the fancy pattern? For me, that's holding a pitch, just holding a tone. La. So what I did by saying I'm going to hold a long pitch for a long time, I didn't change the pitch when the chords changed. So I picked a note. It happened to be the E that I was going to sing, la, and I played an E chord, an A chord, and a B chord. Pretty complicated, intricate strumming pattern, but because I've already decided I'm not going to change the pitch, I'm just going to hold one note a long time. So I've kind of put that on automatic pilot, and now I can spend my time focusing on the strumming part. As that becomes more comfortable, I can make the singing part more complicated. But that's the quick little try that for a week and report back and let me know next week how that goes. Now, back to what happens if the song is low. Mark Lincoln had some lessons like this on Jam Play. There were some bands that like to detune their guitars a half step because, well, for two reasons. One is, I don't know what their purposes were. I don't know what Mark's purposes were. I just knew that there were people who did it, and he would teach lessons about those people. But some people are worried about people stealing their licks and things. They want to sound a little bit different than everybody else. So instead of playing an E, A, D, G, B, E, they would play E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, E flat. And everything would be tuned down a half step. So in order to play a G chord, you'd have to capo at the first fret and play the G shapes. And I mean, that's what you'd have to do in order to get a G chord because you've changed everything now. So one of the things you can do is change the guitar. You can change your tuning. An alternate tuning, which was asked earlier, I could do that, and that will change where things are in my voice. But what if I don't want to do that? What if I've got a song that I just want to bring down a little bit? So I've been a church musician a lot of my life, and a lot of the hymns in the church books, the hymn books, are published in keys that have a lot of flats, and they tend to be higher, like an A flat. Some glad morning when this life is o'er, I fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I fly away, oh glory, I fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I fly away. My 5 chord there, but I'm in A flat. It's pretty high. I fly away. And what could I do? Well, I was playing bar chords, in this case on purpose, so that I could move it down. So if I'm looking at the hymnal, it says play A flat. Now, one of the things I might do is play the E-shaped bar chords. And if you go to your page that we were looking at before, you don't have to put it up right now, but just go to the bottom group. I want to play the E-shaped chords. Capo 3 sounds like A flat. Okay. Oh, sorry. Capo. That should say Capo. That shouldn't say Capo 3. That should say Capo 4. This is a workshop. So I've had to edit mine. In the bottom group of the E's, or Capo 5 is going to sound like A. Capo 4 is going to sound like A flat. Capo 3 is going to sound like G. That's what's going to happen there. Looks like I got a correction to make. Oops. But the simple thing to do now is, so I could play it in the E shapes there. I could also, I noticed at the top, if I want to play it in A flat, I could play it Capo 1. I fly away, oh glory, I fly away. So I can move it down one. Now, I fly away, oh glory, I fly away. Maybe that's not far enough. So when I'm using the G shapes, I can't go any lower. So if I use the E shapes, there's my A flat. I move down to 3, there's my G. But what if I want to go, I'm back down here at, all right. Now I'm going to try an F and see if that's better. When I fly away, oh glory, I fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I fly away. So, we have come to the end of our time together, friends. What we did was talk about having a song that was in the E shapes, it was way too low for my voice, playing with it, coming up a little bit, finding out now it's way too high, moving the capo all the way up here, finding out that's a good place for my voice. I had to move the capo way up high to get it to the right place in my voice. There were other songs where if I played them where they were written, they were way too high, and I had to move the capo down to bring it down. And when I'm at the first fret, I can play an F, and that took that A flat song down to F and let me lower the pitch as well. So the capo is not just about making things higher, which is mentally the first thing that we think about. It's a lot easier to see shorter is higher. That helps. Sometimes we got to think about using my capo to lower it, lower the pitch. And when I was using the G shapes at the first fret, and then keeping the capo at the first fret and using the E shapes, that's what produced that F that I could sing a lot better and put everything in my voice. Well, we have been voicing songs to put them in, using the tool of a capo, to putting them in the best place in our voice so that they can be presented in their best possible way in the world. This takes a lot of experimentation. As some of you have said, your voice is maybe not the most comfortable thing about your musical presentation, and you may not feel confident yet. But my advice to you is to do it more, because the more you do it, the more you have the possibility of understanding it and being comfortable with it, and correcting the things that aren't quite where you want them to be. But again, in the first couple weeks, I said, make a tape, make a recording that is your baseline, then go back and listen to it later. Well, that's all we have time for today, friends. I'll be back on next week, and we'll look at the next steps in Lesson 5. But thanks for joining me as we chase our neon rainbow by singing with our guitar. Bye-bye.